In every walk with nature, one receives way more than he seeks. A quote by John Moore. After almost 100 days of getting burned or frozen in California, we finally made it to the Green Tunnel of Oregon. First of all, it's not all forest, and second, Oregon is not flat. It's nothing compared to the Sierra or the Northern Cascades, but it's still hilly with a lot of difficult terrain. When we arrived in Oregon, the fire had just extinguished and most of the million mosquitoes were gone. The mosquito pens, which we shipped to Crater Lake, ended up being just some extra weight. We only used them one single morning. We were also very lucky with the weather. Until the end of Oregon, including California, we could count the rainy days with the 10 fingers of our hands. Getting to Oregon in August ended up being a great time. Hikers who flipped up north and got there in June had to walk in snow, and southbounders who started early and got there in July got constantly soaked by the daily rain showers. So you might now think that we had a great time in Oregon, but that was not the case. We still had to make our miles, and even more miles. The longer we would have taken in Oregon, the more likely we would have been ending up in snow in Washington. The 20 to 30 miles in California became 30 to 40 miles in Oregon. This included waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and hiking until the sky turned pitch black. You also might think that our bodies get stronger and stronger, but it's actually the opposite. It's true that hiking becomes easier, but we constantly burn more calories than we replace. It's hard to imagine myself having a proper calorie amount. It would be something like 6 ramen, 20 power bars, and 6 more packages of mashed potatoes. There's no way that I can carry that stuff for each and every day on a 5 days stretch. That's why we really appreciate every trail magic. It feels like a God blessing. With the support of the trail angels, hiking becomes way easier. And it's not only all the food they give to you, they strongly believe in you making it to the border. After 300 miles in Oregon, we finally made it to the 2,000 mile marker. After the 1,000 mile marker in the Sierra, we didn't pay too much attention on those markers anymore. But 2,000 miles was a big thing. The PCT is a journey of 4 to 6 months. And when we started, we didn't know if we would make it. There are a million beautiful places out there, but also a million reasons to quit or not complete. Being at 2,000 miles, the border seemed to be so close. Our doubts from the beginning turned into enthusiasm. We were sure to make it to Canada. Nothing could stop us anymore. And that is what it's all about. It's a challenge. And that's why I'm doing it. When I did my first hikes in Iceland and Norway, one of the most beautiful places on earth, it was always about the scenery. Hiking is a great place to really pay attention to your surrounding and appreciate it. After hiking in several countries around the world, I did the Camino de Santiago in Spain, and it was the best journey of my life. It was not only beautiful, but also involved a challenge. I wanted to see if I can finish the whole trail in 30 days. Having so much fun in hitting my daily records, I made it to Santiago de Compostela in 23 days. That was the first time that someone told me about the PCT, and it took another 3 years that I actually attempted it. Being at 2,000 miles, it has to be a broken leg stopping me from completing. So what kind of advice can I give to future PCT hikers? First of all, do your research. Find equipment which fits, works, and you're happy with. And when it comes to the ice axe, know exactly what you're doing. Many hikers brought an ice axe but never got to know how to use it. Carrying an ice axe won't save you from losing your life. Attend a training or at least watch a YouTube video. But always keep in mind, practice makes perfect. At the same time, go as light as possible. Some hikers would take that really serious and would go without any sleeping pad or rain clothes. But don't forget about your comfort. What I'm talking about is extra gear. Most hikers end up sending 1/3 of their equipment back home. You don't need 2 pairs of pants, you don't need 2 t-shirts, you don't need 3 pairs of socks or 3 pairs of panties. And especially you don't need any town clothes or washing clothes. Just make sure you have a rain jacket, a down jacket, a sun shirt and some thermo underwear. One of the first things I sent back home was my solar panel and my second power bank. Being in town every 3 to 5 days and getting recharged, I ended up not using those 2 items. And if you can even do it without a pillow, a seat pad, a stove, a pot, and a headlamp, you can go ultra light. You don't really need much more than your tent, a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad, a shovel, some trekking poles, and something to filter your water. If you're looking for a full list on equipment for the PCT, just visit the RAI website. They got a really good packing list. You will be sure that nothing is missing, but at the same time, don't take too much. I also recommend you to be in a good physical shape before you start the PCT. You probably won't have the time to hike 12 hours a day, but at least do something for 12 hours a week. Being totally unprepared and putting so much weight and miles on my body was just awful. I love you guys 2000.
Ooh, nice one.
I feel fine.
Yeah! Woo! 2000!
So how do you feel really? Tell us exactly how you feel.
Really tired. Walking's hard.
I was very lucky that I didn't suffer any serious injury. At least make sure that you stretch your body. Every morning I spend 5 minutes just stretching my feet. Also keep in mind that you will lose a lot of weight. So actually it's good to start the PCT when you are a little bit overweight. The best way to maintain your weight on the PCT is by eating olive oil and summer sausages. Most important, get a travel insurance. Seeing a doctor in the United States costs between $250 to $300. And this is not even the treatment, it's just a conversation of 3 minutes. Having a doctor checking out my shoulder for 10 minutes cost me $1,000, and that was actually cheap. Another hiker who ended up staying in hospital for 2 hours because of diarrhea paid $4,000. So make sure you get yourself covered before you start the trip. You will need that money for so much else. Let's talk about finances. The PCT will cost you anything between $2,000 to $10,000. Some people can make it even cheaper, but most of the people end up paying way more than expected. So if you figured out an amount of money you think you will spend on the PCT, just double it. Especially if you join a hiking group, you will spend a lot of money. There's always someone who wants to stay in town or wants to have a proper meal, or you might even go to cinema. Believe me, sometimes you just want to have a comfortable bed in a warm room, especially after a rainy day. We stayed in 16 cities along the PCT. Most of the times it was just €1, but in 7 cases we doubled the price and took a zero. Other unexpected costs will be your gear. It will take you something between 3 to 5 pairs of shoes to finish the trail. And just think of all the other equipment which will get worn out. Don't forget that in 5 months you put as many miles on your gear as people normally do in 40 years. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to have more advice or find out if we made it to Canada, just hit the subscribe button and you can watch the next video. Thank you and happy trails!